Well, well, well. Welcome back to New York Sports Wicker Media with Y2K99. And today I'm going to take a couple of minutes and talk a little New York Rangers. The NHL released their 2022-23 schedule yesterday around 4 o'clock. And I took a look at the Rangers schedule and I wanted to point out a couple of things that I found pretty interesting. So, opening night is Tuesday, October 11th. They host the Eastern Conference champion Tampa Bay Lightning. You know the crowd at MSG is going to be heated for that one. And the season closes at home as well, Thursday, April 13th, against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs. That's right. So, a couple of things I find interesting with the schedule. The first thing is the Rangers Islanders matchups. So, they play Wednesday, October 26th at UBS Arena, then November 8th at the Garden, and then December 22nd at the Garden. That's it. The Rangers and Islanders, who used to play 6, 7, 8 times a season, have 3 games against each other all season, and they're all going to be done by Christmas time. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, the league, I'm really bothered with the NHL. They can't seem to make up their mind if they want rivalries or not. You know, they have these like phony divisional playoffs now that are division playoffs, but they're not really playoffs. They're trying to get more East versus Western Conference games so that, a fan in San Jose can watch Alex Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid will have to go to Florida or Columbus every year. But when you do that, you're hurting the rivalries because you're not seeing those division teams as often. And the games seem to be, a lot of those East versus West games, they just feel like just another game. So to me, I think that it should be 6 games against every team in your division every single year. 4 teams against the other teams in your conference. So the Metropolitan would play the Atlantic 4 times a year, and then the Central would play the Pacific 4 times a year, and that leaves you with, I believe, 16 games or so against the other conference, and you would just play them 1 time a year, and that would be 82 games. To me, that's perfect, but the National Hockey League does not seem to see things the same way as I do, but that's okay. A couple interesting notes. I think March is a very interesting month. At what point the Rangers have 3 out of 4 games against the Pittsburgh Penguins: March 12th, March 16th, and March 18th. And in the middle there, they play Washington on March 14th. So 3 out of 4 against Pittsburgh, very interesting. And part of that stretch includes their longest homestand of the season, a 5-game homestand against Washington, Pittsburgh twice, so home to home games back to back against Pittsburgh, then Nashville, and then Carolina. That's going to be a very, very interesting homestand. And they have 3 4-game road trips. I think the toughest one is going to be in the middle of February. They are at Carolina, then they go out west, out at Vancouver, at Edmonton, and at Calgary. That Alberta and British Columbia stretch is never easy, but especially right now with Edmonton and Calgary both being among the premier teams in the Western Conference nowadays, and we all know what it's like playing at PNC Arena for the Carolina Hurricanes. And so those are just a couple of things that really stood out to me with the schedule. Now, I'm personally very excited because as a Virginia resident, I'm about halfway between D.C. and Raleigh. And the Rangers have 2 home games or 2 road games at Capital One Arena. Last year, they only had 1. And both of those games this year will be weekend afternoon games. So I am definitely making plans to go to D.C. for Rangers Capitals. And there's a great group there, the DC Rangers group, and I'm absolutely looking forward to hanging with them, which I wasn't able to do last year because of drive times. They play on a Wednesday night, and I got to drive 3 hours from work. It just doesn't work very well. 1 or 2 other Ranger notes really quick. The draft is tonight. The Rangers don't pick till the second round, whereas, of course, the Devils have the second pick. They're they're getting so many draft picks, it's crazy. I'm not one to break down all the different hockey prospects, but I will say this: the Rangers have to trade Alex Georgiev very, very soon. In fact, they have to do it by Monday. If they don't trade him by Monday at 5 p.m., they have to offer him a qualifying offer of $2.65 million. And if they don't offer it by that time, so Monday's the deadline to give him that qualifying offer, they don't do that, he becomes an unrestricted free agent, and the Rangers would lose him for nothing. So I'm hoping they can trade him today, maybe or tomorrow. Get a late round draft pick or something like that. But the Rangers, they need to shed whatever salary cap space they can because they have so many free agents and there's other young players they eventually will have to give contracts to. Keandre Miller, Alexei Lafreniere. Do you give Cabo Caco probably a bridge contract at this point? So they have to do that. And the other thing that they can do is probably buy out Patrick Nemeth, the defenseman. That seems to be where the talk is heading. I don't think they're going to keep him on the roster at $2.5 million. I thought he got a little bit too much hate last year between illnesses and family situations. He didn't have as good of a season as Rangers fans would have wanted, but they made this guy out to be Igor Ulanov or something. That's a name going back in time who, to me, just represents the epitome of Rangers' ineptitude on defense. But most likely, it's going to be difficult to trade him. So if they can't trade him, then you're talking about a buyout. Now, Nemeth is scheduled to make $2.5 million for each of the next 2 years. But if they buy him out, he would only count $1 million against the cap this year, so you save $1.5 million. Then nothing next year, but then you're taking on cap hits of $1 million for the next 2 years after that. And it's in that fourth year is what it would be. So 1 million, 0, 1 million, 1 million. In that fourth year, the salary cap is really expected to increase, and you can absorb a 1 million cap hit like that a lot more easily. So I would expect Nemeth and Georgiev to be gone probably, I would say, in the next, Georgiev in the next 48 hours. I don't think Georgiev's going to be here for much longer, and I don't think Nemeth is long for this world after that. So there's a couple of quick Rangers notes. I'm on my way to the Carolinas tomorrow morning. I am super excited about it. I still plan on doing a video or two while I'm on vacation. So you never know what kind of chair I'm going to be broadcasting from, but soon enough I'll be back from you know where, the Wicker chair.